Alright, One Piece episode 39 recap.
Mobile, Arlong decides to start a game where he picks up Luffy, along with a piece of the ground still attached to his legs. He throws Luffy into the pool to drown. Zoro and Sanji are unable to rescue him before defeating their respective opponents, as Kurubi and Hachan would have a physical advantage underwater. Zoro battles against Hachan. Despite Hachan being unarmed, Zoro struggles against him as he is still injured from his duel against Mihawk and also only has one sword intact. This distracts Sanji, allowing Kurubi to strike him. As Zoro and Sanji would be unable to rescue Luffy in time, Genzo and Nojiko attempt to save him themselves. They sneak into the base, dive into the pool and attempt to rescue him. But Genzo is unable to break the cement attached to Luffy's feet. Nojiko brings only his head above the surface so he may breathe, and Genzo remains underwater to resuscitate him. Hachan climbs into his base to get his weapons, 6 swords for his 6 tentacles. Zoro borrows from Johnny and Yosaku's swords to use 3-sword style against Hachan. Hachan resorts to targeting Zoro's wounds, striking him in the abdomen. Despite potentially reopening his wounds, Zoro defeats Hachan with Tatsumaki, destroying all 6 of Hachan's swords and propelling him into the air. Despite defeating his opponent, Zoro is too injured to dive into the water to rescue Luffy. Sanji is forced to dive into the water to rescue Luffy, knowing Kurubi would have an advantage over him underwater. Kurubi strikes Sanji from behind. Meanwhile, Chu chases Usopp through the island outskirts. Nami, who finishes bandaging her wounds at her house, decides to return to Arlong Park and join the battle. Having an advantage underwater, Kurubi battles Sanji in the pool. Restraining him with his hair, he beats Sanji with his fishman karate, preventing him from resurfacing. He then grabs Sanji and dives underwater, causing the water pressure change to crush his body. Sanji then blows air into Kurubi's gills, harming him and returning to the surface. On land, Sanji gains an...
Okay, so that was episode 39. So episode 39 kind of ended here.
Knowing Kurubi would have an advantage over him underwater. Zoro is too injured to words and into the water to rescue Luffy. Sanji is forced to dive into the water to rescue Luffy, knowing Kurubi would have an advantage over him underwater. Kurubi strikes...
Alright, that's pretty much how episode 39 ends. It's
Sanji from behind. Meanwhile, Chu chases Usopp through the...
Actually, no, it stops there. It stops with Chu chasing Usopp. So that was episode 39. Episode 39, is an incredibly good episode for Zoro. It's pretty much a Zoro episode. I'm glad they gave Zoro his own episode instead of doing like, a split, because the next episode, episode 40, is a split between Sanji and Usopp. So I'm glad that they give Zoro at least his own episode, at least one episode for him to shine.